Good morning all. Myself Dr. Shivani A. Trivedi, Assistant Professor, S.K. Patel Institute of Management and Computer Studies, MCA program, associated with Kadi Sarva Vishwavidyalaya. Good morning. I am going to take a session from elective of Data Analytics of MCA Semester 4 program for the Database Administration subject, and today we are going to have Oracle Database Architecture and Database Structure. Let's proceed. As we know that Oracle is a robust, we can say that the vendor in database systems. As we know, the database management system is a system which provides the robust way to handle the data in open, comprehensive, integrated approach to information management. And when we start Oracle system or Oracle database system, we can divide it into two parts. One is Oracle instance and one is Oracle database itself, which resides in a storage, an instance which resides in a memory. So with this particular base node, we will proceed to understand the architecture. Now say that when we say that database architecture, it has a three particular component, as we have discussed that when we start the Oracle, the database resides in the hard disk, that is storage device. It establishes itself into the memory as a part of Oracle instance, and the overall structure consisting of three parts: memory, process and storage, as you are able to see in this particular diagram. When we say that memory structure, it consisting of all required the database related processes as well as the important part of the memory sections, which handles all the user requests and processes has been generated by the OS as well as database and as well as users, and so that it is going to interact with the database file from the storage structure, and the complete flow happens to access the data from the database. Let's proceed in this direction. Now if we talk more about Oracle memory structure in detail, it has two main parts. One is system global area and another is program global area. System global area mainly consisting of main part of the memories like shared pool, stream pool, large pool, Java pool, database buffer cache and redo log buffer cache. So all this main memory area are required to handle the shared processes for the all Oracle users. Now let's take the database buffer cache into the SGA part of the memory. Database buffer cache is a memory area which consists all the temporary record which is there generated by the user. We'll talk more about in detailed diagram in a later part of this, but this is the area where whenever we perform any transaction like insert, update, delete, so data is going to reside in this buffer cache memory. And all the transaction, we know that whenever user is performing any of the transaction are being recorded by the database itself in terms of transaction log. This log has been managed and stored in redo buffer log memory area. When a database needs more memory to execute a particular processes and a program within it, it is going to use large pool of memory area. Database is interacting with the IO as well as with the OS part, and to stream all this program and processes, the streams pool memory area is being used. As we know that system global area is this memory area which is meant for database memory system, so that all the users who requires a common objects in a shared manner, which is going to be resides in shared pool, so that in multi-user environment all the objects, say that we had learned packages as well as triggers, procedures, functions, so all these shared objects are resides here ready to use for the user whenever it is required. And as we know that maximum Oracle processes are being implemented using Java, so a special purpose application which has been implemented on Oracle, which needs Java compiler to be executed that particular process, then Java pool memory area is being used. So this is what all about system global area, which is a primary area of the Oracle database, which serves the maximum system related processes being executed in it. Now we talk about program global area. It is meant for each individual user which is being connected to the database. So each user which is requesting connection to the database is going to establish its own program global area, as we are able to see in the figure. Server process 1, server process 2, these are the individual program global area for the users. Now if we talk about background processes, so it is again the system generated processes which is being used to maintain the overall database management system keep in work. So it also has its own program global area to execute it. So these are the two important components in this. From this slide we are able to understand SGA and PGA. Let's move further. Now if we go further in process structure, second part of this database. So process structure is consisting of three processes. The number one, user. User request to the system for connection and the different processes which user needs to do with the data. So user process started at the time of the database user request for the connection to the database server. That is what Oracle server, and that request is being communicated to the database instance. So database instance, as we have seen in previous slide, that consisting of SGA, and as user has requested, it is going to be created program global area for a particular user. Then server processes. User request is invoking the server processes so that actual connection is being taken place, so that user is able to establish a session, whether user is authenticate user is entering with valid user ID and password to the database or not. So this all processes are going to be taken place all together as a part of user request, and server processes will establish that user to connect it with the database system. Now we talk about background processes. So background processes is already there whenever the instance has been loaded into the memory. So whenever we say that database has been started, at that time all the background processes are being executed to serve the purpose. So what are the background processes? We will come in a later part of this session. From this slide, the important part we need to understand about the three different processes are there as a part of process structure: user, server, and background processes. Let's proceed. And now let's proceed with the as we have seen, for each user there are server processes which is requested to the instance so that connection can be established, and there are background processes. Now let's take the first background processes, that is system monitor, SMON. System monitor is the process which is used to take care of all system generated any transaction or any memory cleaning area is required to establish the instance again. So it is a system monitor process will take care about the that particular part. Process monitor PMON will take care about the whatever the process is being done by the user, the number of transaction being executed by the user, which is completed or not, in terms of memory, whether the area is clean or not, whether it is a pin or unpinned. This is going to be taken care by process monitor, and if it is for any reason it is being said that the process is aborted, that transaction is aborted, process monitor will take care for that particular thing to take the database into the consistent state. Database writer, DBWN. DBWN is the background process which is actually being done for writing a data to the database buffer cache that we have seen in a previous slides in terms of the architecture of system global area, one of the memory part, that is database buffer cache. So whenever user is executing any insert, update or delete, this particular process is going to write in that particular memory area, as well as it is also going to perform reading and writing operation from the database storage device where actual data is being stored. So DBWN is responsible for reading and writing of the data to the storage as well as to the memory. Checkpoint method, which is used process which is used for backup and recovery purpose. So as we know that in a transaction table, each transaction is being recorded, at what time it has been executed, what is the previous memory location, what is the next memory location, on which particular object it has been created, what particular operation has been operated on it, whether this transaction is committed or not into the database. So number of transactions are being executed on the database. This checkpoint is a point of like a bookmark. So it is going to be marked on a transaction log table so that database can able to know that up to what number of transaction log a database has completed the transaction, that means committed all the transaction, and up to what part it is uncommitted the data, so that whenever the recovery point of time, database need to know about the checkpoint status and the transaction in between this checkpoint status. So this process is taken care of the putting a mark in the transaction log table, that is what checkpoint. Log writer, LGWR process, which is used to write all transaction log into the database. So all transaction log is being recorded into the transaction log as well as in the storage area using this particular process. Archival log. Archival log has been written on archival log files through archiver process. So this process is add-on on the log writer. So say that whenever database is in archive log mode on, this archiver process is enabled to write a data in a separate archival file. So these are the important background processes: SMON, PMON, DBWN, checkpoint, log writer and archive, which is taken care of all the important database work. Let's proceed. Now let's understand that how exactly this database buffer cache is being returned into the database files, which is actual storage device. This diagram depicts the flow whenever user is requested for any kind of server process. So server process is being communicated to the instance, that is SGA, and SGA is consisting of database buffer cache. So this database buffer cache, so each memory has this flag variables like pinned, clean, free, unused, free or unused, dirty. So these are the flag. So from this flag of the memory, it is being known by the DBWN process that whether this data is pinned, means this data need to be write into the database, whether that memory area is clean, whether this memory area is unused, till now no data has been written on that memory area of database buffer cache, and whether that memory area, that part of the block of the memory dirty, means data is there for a longer period of a time, that data is untouched, which has not any mark like whether it has been stored to the database or not. So DBWN will take care about this particular thing. From buffer cache, it will take the data and it will store into the data files using this 4 pin flag variables. Fine. So let's proceed. Now we are at third structural component of database, that is storage. Storage component means physically which is exist. All these components are physically exist in the hard disk, like control files, data files, online redo log files, parameter file, backup files, archive log file, password file, alert and trace log files. Now control files, let's talk about control files. Control files consisting of all Oracle database related configuration parameters. So all these parameters are required database to be established an instance into the memory. When database starts, it needs all this parameter, at what time database has been established, where it has been stored, what are the different data files where it has been stored, what are the different memory area which has been created, what is the size of the data block and table spaces, number of users, which is the main user, main system admin and all. So all server parameters are being defined completely in control files of the control file structure of the Oracle database. The second component of storage is data files, where actual our data is being stored. Now when we installed, means we have done the installation of Oracle server, so we have seen that whenever we install data files, by default we are able to see that system auxiliary.dbf, system.dbf, user.dbf has been created. These data files are nothing but the where actual user data is being stored. So whatever the tables we create from the user side using SQL Plus or using SQL Developer, that all data are being stored into the data files in a physical form. So all user generated data as well as system generated metadata are being stored in a form of storage device in a form of data files. Now let's talk about online redo log files. So these all are the redo log files. By default Oracle creates 3 redo log files, like redo log 0, 1 and 2. It is in a circular manner, and all the transactions log are being stored in this particular file. Now if we talk about parameter file, it is a miniature of control file. Parameter file is a miniature of control file. So it consists of all the parameter which is required to establish the instance to the database. So first, whenever Oracle instance starts, the server parameter file is being checked. Then in that particular file, the location of control files are being established. In a control files, the data files and other files locations and other things are mentioned in it. So parameter file is again the important file in Oracle. We know it by init.aura, which consisting of all the parameters that is required a database to create the instance into the memory. Backup files are created by default. User generated backups can also be created, which is, we can say that the another copy of the database files. It might be a control file, it might be a data files, it might be any kind of database record which is being backup. So as a part of a backup which has been created by the database administrator or automatically by the database system, this backup files are being created to store the various backup. Archival log file, as I said, that when database is in archival log mode on, this archival log files are being generated for the another we can say that recovery mechanism or backup mechanism for Oracle database. As we say that in Oracle 10G onwards, the flashback recovery area which is being created. So this flashback recovery area uses the archival log files to store the database backup. Point in time recovery can be possible if it is a archive log mode on files. Password file are being used whenever the user needs authentication from the remote. So password file consisting of all user related login information, this is used for authentication purpose when user is remotely going to be logging to the database system. Alert and trace log files are consisting of all alert messages which has been generated during the access of database by the user, so that whenever DBA wants to audit trail, it can be used. So these are the all important components of storage. Physical component, we can say that these are the component which is physically exist into the memory, or we can say that hard disk. Now let's proceed with the further. Now as we know that all data files are a physical form of the database records, fine. but it is logically related, means through the Oracle we are able to access this data file with the name tablespace. So tablespace is a logical name of data file, you can say that one way. So tablespace consists of one or more data files, and data files belongs to only one tablespace. So tablespace is a logical representation of data file, which is the physical structure of the data. So this is another important part, means users can store data into the data file, and data files can be accessible through database administrator, through say that OEM or any other interface to administer the database. The tablespace is the logical representation of the data file. So tablespace can have one or more than one data files, but one data file can belongs to one and only one tablespace. This is the important to be taken care. Now when we create the database system, by default system and system auxiliary tablespaces are being created, and these two tablespaces are mandatory for database to exist and run properly. They are created at the time of the database creation, and they must be online. So system tablespace is used for core functionality, for example data dictionary tables. So all metadata of database system is being stored and being functioned through system tablespace. System auxiliary is for additional database component, like as I said that OEM. So OEM, Oracle Enterprise Manager, is one of the tool. With the help of it, DBA can able to administer the database system. So to provide the all important parameters and information related to database, the system auxiliary is maintaining one more repository, which is known as Enterprise Manager repository. So OEM can access the metadata through this Enterprise Manager repository, and DBA can handle the database administration task. Now let's move further to understand the tablespace more clearly. Tablespace is consisting of the number of segments, and number of segments are made up of number of extents, and number of extents are a collection of data blocks. So as we can understand, to make it very simple, that let's take your institute. Your institute is comprises of the number of floors. Number of floors comprises of the number of classroom, and number of classroom consisting of number of seats or benches or chairs, and each student is able to occupy a particular seat in the classroom. So this is where how you are able to represent within your institution. You need to map with a particular smallest unit of your institution. Same way, data into the database exists in a hard disk, in a point of smallest memory, that is disk block. So this disk block, when we have a multiple disk block all together, which is we can understand from the operating system point of view, all this disk block are related to the database data blocks. So it is again a memory collection. All data blocks are representing the extent. So we can say that the extent is a table, and data blocks are the records, the value of that particular table, and so that each value is being stored into the OS disk blocks, and segments are representing the particular user or a schema. Likewise, so each data block are mapped to the disk block. So table space consisting of the more than one segment consisting of the more than one extents, more than one extents consisting of the data blocks, and data blocks are associated with the disk. So this is how the piece of information is being managed. Now this diagram is very clearly making the understanding about how physical and logical representation of database structure is taken place. Now as we had discussed about the logical representation of the database structure, till now we have discussed three components. One is memory, another is the process, and third is the storage. So memory and process, as we know, that is the logical representation, and the storage is the physical representation. So data file is one of the very important physical representation component of the database. So database are directly stored into the OS operating system. We are able to see it is in the C drive or a D drive where we have installed the Oracle, but it is in an encrypted form. No one can directly open the data file and can see the data, because Oracle has stored all the data in data file in a encrypted manner, but that data file is associated directly with the OS. Now this data file is able to access through Oracle database through tablespace. Now Oracle database is accessed by schema. Now the schema is nothing but the user. So each user has an authentication to access a particular database. All the users has a roles and privileges, so that that database is being accessed by that particular schema, and so that through that database a table space can be accessed, and so that segment, and so that extent, and so that Oracle data block. So as this is a kind of ER diagram representation, crow's foot notation has been mentioned in this. So more than one schema can be there in the database. This database can have more than one user. One database can have more than one table space. One table space can have more than one segments. One segment can have more than one extent, and one extent can have more than one data blocks. And one data block of Oracle may have more than one OS block. And a table space is directly related to data file, as we had discussed that one table space may have more than one data file, and one data file can have more than one OS block, obviously. So this is what how logical and physical component of database are related to each other. So this diagram represents the relationship between logical and physical component of database structure. Let's proceed with next slide. Now let's take that you can enlarge the database in the following way. Means when you say that you are creating the new table space and adding a data file to an existing table space, increasing the size of a data file and providing for the dynamic growth of a data file. So you can increase means database consisting of the n number of table spaces like system and inventory as per this particular diagram. Now let's try to summarize what we have done till now. We have seen the memory structure. In memory structure, system global area that consisting of database buffer cache, redo buffer, and the various memory pool like large pool, Java pool, stream pool, and program global area BGA. So these all are the important part of memory structure of the database. We have seen process structures. Within it, three process structures are mainly used: user processes and server processes, as well as background processes: smon, pmon, dbw write, checkpoint, log writer, archive, and others we have seen. Storage structure consisting of, we have seen in both the manner, logical representation as well as physical representation. Logical consisting of schema, database, table space, segments, extent, and Oracle data block, and physical represent the file for a data, parameters, redo log files, and OS block. So these are what till now we have seen in terms of Oracle database architecture. Now say that how the things are, we can say that being happened, means that control files we have seen, Oracle instance management, these all are the activity which can be being performed by the database system. Data files and database writer, checkpoints, redo log writer, archive writer, smon, pmon. So this is what how Oracle is working with all this component. So Oracle activities are based on all this background processes, we can say that, and the main component is the control file and Oracle instance and data file and the background processes which is mentioned in this slides. Now so let's understand more about control files. Now this contains the physical database structure information. They are read at mount stage. So whenever database is, when we start the database, it is in shutdown mode. So when it gets started, it will come into the mount mode. So at mount stage, it will check whether the control file exists or not. If control file not exists, then database will not mount. We are not able to access the database. So should be multiplexed to protect against loss and are required to access the database. So these are important, as from the database you are able to see that as soon as we are able to get connected with the database using connect password and we are initiating the startup process, immediately it is checked for the server parameter file, that is sp file orcl.org or init.ora. Init.ora will create the instance into the memory, and so that the instance will come along with the storage device mapping into the memory. So control file is very important. If it exists, then only the database instance is get created, otherwise not. Let's proceed. Now this is what this diagram, it was able to understand that how database buffer cache is writing to the data files. Fine. So here this purple shade is the data files, as we have seen this particular area, and how log writer is writing the redo log files, and through the redo log files. So this is a one kind of a backup mechanism, but if our database in archive log mode on, then again archiver process will write the same data in a separate file for a the future requirement purpose. And checkpoint will add a checkpoint that how many log writer has been returned to the database. So it is going to take care of the consistent state of the database. So this diagram is representing how database instance is being managed through all these components. Let's proceed. Now let's say data file. Data file contains the all database data. It can be associated only with one database. From the logical unit database storage called table space, that we know, and are ready into memory in blocks on request and should be secured by following a backup strategy. So through SGA we know that database buffer cache has been returned to the data file using database writer process. So this is what about data files. So how these three components are the working with each other, how activity is being taken place, that we need to understand. Now DBWN writes when one of the following event occurs. When checkpoint event occurs, again this process is going to be activated. When dirty buffer threshold, no free buffers are going to be there, it is going to be activated. Whenever the timeout is going to be there, user is there and get connected, but it's ideal. Then remote application cluster is pinging a request. Fine. Then when our table space is offline, table space is in read only, table drop or truncate, table space being backed up. So all these are the events. At that point of time, this DBWN is going to be activated to write a data to the data files. Let's proceed. Checkpoint method has said that it is responsible for the signaling the DWN at checkpoints, updating a data file header with the checkpoint information, updating control files with checkpoint information. So whenever this database writer is being happen, automatically checkpoint will put a check how much data is being returned to the database file, so that whenever any kind of recovery is required, it can be taken care, or database can be taken into the consistent state. Let's proceed. Redo log file and log writer. This records changes to the database and should be multiplexed to the protect against loss. It is used for recovery process. Log writer writes at commit when 1/3 of full every 3 seconds before DBWN writes. So whenever database writer process is being written a data to the data file, this log writer process is being writing a data from redo log buffer to the redo log files. So how redo log files and log writer processes are related to each other, and how database is doing activity for this particular action. As I said that archival log mode on, whenever the archival log mode on, archival process is being activated and it is being activated to write log writer data to the another archiver log files. So it is going to read a data from redo log, and it is stored at another place also for better purpose. The reason is redo log is going to be overwrite after some period of time. So if we want to keep a data for a more longer of persistent period of a time, then we have to keep our database into the archiver log mode on, so that archiver process can write a data in a separate files, and so that database recovery can be possible for any point in time. Now SMON, it performs instance recovery as we have said at startup. It is coalesces the free spaces and decoalesces the temporary segments. So it cleans the instance area of the database system. PMON cleans up the database buffer cache and frees the resources after failed processes. As we have said in the earlier also, whenever any process fails, so when process fails means that process, the transaction has returned into the many of the transaction log, that entry has been done, that transaction is identified as uncommitted. So it has to be the memory has to be clear from the database buffer cache also, and transaction file also. So rollback process is important to take in place. So rollback that particular transaction and releasing the log from the data items for that a particular transaction is being executed, and releasing the other resources. So this is what how PMON is working for clearing the buffers which has been utilized by a particular transaction, or you can say that the process. If transaction fails, then PMON will come into the picture and cleanse that particular buffer cache and roll back the transaction and release the log, and what other resources like memory or IO, all these resources are being freed from that particular transaction by PMON. Yeah, this is what this diagram it's all we have already seen in fragments also. How all these components are working together so that the database can work properly to achieve the best performance based on the user request. So this is what how Oracle database works. First instance is going to come into the picture whenever database is being started. When user is requesting for the connection to the database, server processes start, and for that particular user PGA is going to be created, program global area is going to be created. As user is going to update or perform any of the transactions, server processes will take that transaction to the buffer cache area, and so that that particular buffer cache area is going to request for the database log writer, and that database is being updated into the data files, and so that parallelly the redo log buffer is also written into the redo log file using log writer process. So this is what how actually being, and your user is also being acknowledged back about the complete SQL processes being executed on the database system. So this is very important to understand. Now let's check for this particular we can say that the knowledge that we have generated. These are the few true and false that you can check yourself whether you are able to understand the concept throughout. Very much to all of you. Thank you.